Okay.
Keep the kids happy with Angel Delight. Evening, Jack.
Where do you see this? Hey?
Yeah. Oh, aye, it's lovely, aye. Is that off your old door?
Aye, it is, aye. I just battered some Duraclit on it. It's come up nice, eh? I think it's important to create the right impression from the start, you know. Winston was good enough to procure me a doormat, one of them with the greetings written in it. I've always wanted one of them.
Very nice indeed, Jack. You've arrived at the abode of Mr. J. Jarvis, Esquire. Wecklum.
Eh? Oh, you bastard! Hey, Winston, £3.50 up the swanny.
Oh, come in, the kettl's just boiled. Oh, and welcome.
Get up, you.
I love those two so much.
I do. Jack and Victor, definitely. When I was growing up watching, well, when I'm saying growing up, as if I was actually a kid when I was watching it, I always wanted to be Al Bundy. And then Phil Game came, and then I wanted to be Jack or Victor.
I know. We when we first started watching it, they're just the best. They're just like best buddies. They're so funny. The banter back and forth between them, and yet there's an amazing affection there as well. So,
yes. And even all the crew, Isa, Navid, Meena, Boabby, Tam, Winston, they're just basically, it's a good ensemble of characters. And yes, a lot of the comedy is very Glaswegian comedy.
Yes.
So sometimes it can be difficult to explain to non-Scots about it.
Yeah, there's going to be colloquial stuff there that not everybody, even other people, even other areas of the UK aren't necessarily going to instantly pick up on.
Yeah, and it's funny watching people watch it for the first time. Because you can see it's like Rabsy Nesbitt was on prior to this. So Rabsy Nesbitt, when it was filmed and set down and it was shown in England, they put subtitles on it because of the Glasgow accent, so people could understand it. But obviously, by the time Still Game came across, they didn't put subtitles because although it's a Scottish accent, it's more of a Anglified Scottish accent, so it's easier to understand.
Yeah,
so,
I didn't find it particularly difficult. There's definitely little moments and phrases and things that I miss because I'm not 100% sure what they said, but most of it, was, I was quite in love with it, right off the bat.
Yeah.
It fits the model of a lot of the really successful shows that are similar to it, and yet it's so uniquely Scottish, and
it is.
And that's what makes it so special. Because
it is, and the good thing is, as you said, it's got a good ensemble. The cast all work well together, even if the cast, certain characters only pop in and out throughout the seasons, you still remember them because it's the same actor playing the same character, just popping in as you would expect a neighbour who you maybe only see once in a blue moon, or the bookie, Stevie the bookie. You wouldn't always see Stevie, but when you did, it was always Stevie. He was still being Stevie. He was still trying to get Winston's money, and you'd see him maybe once or twice throughout the season. But those once or twice you see him, it's an old pal coming.
Hi, Miranda. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, hi Miranda. Thank you.
Hi, I've never seen this program before.
You need to,
thank
Miranda.
you.
There is a link. What I'll do is I'll send you the link to the whole of season 1 on YouTube. It's free to watch.
You have to see it.
It is one of those things. And if you can understand what I'm saying, you'll be able to understand anything they say.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
definitely. Because I've not got a strong accent, and their accent's not much better than mine.
One of the things that popped in my head when you were just saying, you know, like a character like Stevie, is they feel like family.
Yes.
The characters feel like family. So like you said, even if you haven't seen that character for a while, it's like you're almost like, Stevie, you know, Stevie the bookie, you know, and that's what's so instantaneously charming about the show, is that you just become so attached and, you know, affected by the characters. And a show that we watched, The Detectorist, was very much in a similar vein. Obviously very different type of shows, but really affected us.
They're talking about doing a special of The Detectorists.
We were talking about that earlier. We're both looking forward to it, but we're kind of like, don't wreck it.
I was talking when I was down in London yesterday. Sorry, Monday. The taxi driver who was taking me to the office, we were talking about old TV programs. And he was a big Detectorist fan, so we were talking about that all the way in the taxi. It was just the idea, but I'm hoping to do that. But the Detectorist is the same again. They've got it's more of a Yorkshire type accent, so it's clear English for general use, but you can still hear the accents. And I like that when you see, like, for instance, Last of the Summer Wines. Or and things like that, where you've got older characters, you've got people with the accents, and it just seems natural, I suppose, when you're watching something that it just feels part and parcel. Because I'm Glaswegian, and some of the things they're doing and the places they're going to, like when they're in the town, I know that place, I know that place, I know that place, because it's cool. Places where I would have eaten, I would have gone shopping, I would have gone through the shop. And it's things like that. It makes it feel more special, I suppose. And it would be the same idea, like if you're watching Friends. If somebody's from Manhattan, I think Friends was set in, they could see places that they have lived around.
Yeah, when you see something that's set in Manhattan or set anywhere, you know, you may have lived, you know, that's the huge fun. Is like picking out places and saying, you know, I know that place. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it is. It's in me, and I know a lot of Jack Victors. Navids. I grew up with a few Navids in the shop, and Navid and Meena.
Oh God, I'm telling you, that's like Basil and Sybil right there. You know, yet it's so uniquely them. And honest to God, I was in physical pain laughing at the dialogue, you know, with Meena talking, you know, and then they have the subtitles under her, you know, under her comments and stuff. And those two played so well off of each other.
They did. And the thing is, that was normal. So when you see Navid talking English and Meena talking Punjabi or whatever, I used to go into the corner shops, and that would be what would be happening. And we didn't see that as unusual because it's part and parcel. We grew up with that. So the fact that Meena would be saying things, we knew enough Meena's and Navid's, and it was the same idea. You know, fine well, Meena can speak English, but she can't be bothered. She doesn't want to.
She can't be asked. Yeah,
and it's the fact it's things like when Isa's talking to her, she'll say something to Isa, and Isa will reply to her.
Yeah.
So Isa has worked with her and known her for long enough that she knows what she's saying, and it's that type of thing. So we grew up with that. In Scotland, going down to the corner shop, there was Akbar and Anne, or there was different thing. When we grew up, different shops. It was still it was usually Pakistani or Indians. It was running it, but they were part and parcel. It's the same time again. See when you see things where people say, "Aye, but people are dead racist and did it." You kidding? If anybody from
can you imagine if somebody had done something, they would have been flattened.
All they would have done is said, "Oh, by the way, to my dad, he was cheeky to me and he said this." And oh, really? And it was that type of thing. And if you were in giving cheek to any of them, they would get a case of, you can either go out because you're not getting your mass messages and you can tell her why you're not getting the messages, or she can come in and I'll tell her. It's okay, because I'll get into more trouble if and it was the same again. I could go down to this. I could have gone into the shop when I was 14. My mum needs fags. Right, that'll be so. She says she'll square up with you next time she sees you. And they would go, "Aye, no problem." They didn't think you're going to steal the fags and the fags are for you. Because if you said your ma's going to square up with you next time, they know fine well if your mum come in and he says, "You squaring up for the fags?" "I didn't order fags." "Your boy did."
You're dead, yeah. And it was
part and parcel. So we grew up with Navid and Meena type. And it's part and parcel.
I think that's the beauty of it,
normal,
because it does reflect a time when kids were terrified of getting caught out by their parents. It reflects a time, a much simpler time, and it reflects it's culturally representative of a real situation, and that's why it just feels so comfortable to watch. It's just you just love and appreciate the characters because they are the characters that you see every day.
Yeah, and it is. And as I said, I grew up with Navid and Meena. I grew up with Pete the Jakey. I grew up with a Tam, you know what I mean, who was a skinflint. And, you know what I mean? My dad used to always go on about his brother. He could peel an orange in his pocket with a pair of boxing gloves on. He would never take his hands out of his pocket. And somehow, basically, you had cash, but he'd be standing, and it would be almost as he said, he could peel an orange in his pocket. He was that stingy. And it was, we grew up with all these type of characters. So watching them, you're sitting there laughing more because, know that type. And that's why I love it. And the situations they're in, we all know an Iser. I used to work with a couple of Isers.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, the wee old gossips, the nosy.
People have
They've got to know.
Yeah.
They've got to know.
I was just reading through the chat. Welcome, Julie. Thanks for stopping in. Kel Lynch / Julie.
Yeah. Basically, Kelly Lynch, in the YouTube, the Twitter chat, when I was talking about this, I put a link to Still Game Season 1.
Yeah, definitely check it out when you can.
You need to check it out. And yes, I've moved my chair and my camera so the dogs can appear whenever they want to. And I can't get peace and quiet from them because now they can climb up anytime they want. So.
Oh, but they're so much fun. They really add so much. They're so cute. Yeah. And I was just reading, Darren put in the chat, John and Mary from Father Ted, because I was saying how they were a bit like Basil and Sybil. It's the same thing, the constant fighting and stuff, but those two were so hilarious in Father Ted. Yeah. Honest to God.
It's that type of thing. There's certain characters that they're constantly fighting, as you said, they're constantly bickering. But Basil and Sybil, you could see that Basil couldn't live without Sybil. And even though Sybil could probably live without Basil, she doesn't want to.
Exactly.
With them. And it's that type of thing. You can just imagine in here, you've got Jack and Victor, two old pals, but you can see where they've got that, where old Jack goes on and on and on, and Victor eventually will turn around, "Enough, Jack." Basically, we've heard it, shut up, stop going on, because Jack's obviously the one that's a wee bit more verbose. He needs to talk just to hear his voice. And I don't know where I think I know that type of person from. But my wife says I'm a Jack. Basically, she'll just go, "Shut up." And it's the same idea as Victor going, "Enough, Jack." Because he'll let it go and he'll know when to stop with certain conversations. But it is definitely one of these shows that anybody I would recommend watching. Go and see, because the accents, yes, they've got some good patter. Because Jack and Victor are classed as pattern merchants. And people know what a pattern merchant is, even though at one point it was probably classed as a Scottish phrase. But a pattern merchant, we've all met the ant and deck types. They're the pattern merchants.
Okay.
They're basically gift of the gab. They're
Gotcha.
good with the patter. And that's the type of thing. It's just an expression. Pattern merchant is someone gift of the gab. Ireland, you had the gift of the gab, or they've kissed the Blarney stone, that type of thing. Pattern merchant, similar idea. But they are pattern merchants because they've got a... I'm trying to think, what is it? They've got a je ne sais quoi. They've got that bit of something it endears you to them. So when they are prattling on or explaining stuff, it's you want to listen.
Yeah. You just feel affection for them. Absolutely, they're very genuine characters. They're they're the kind of characters that you would want to know. That you would. You would look forward to, going in the pub and, taking the piss out of each other a bit and having a laugh. But they're all characters that you still care about, I was just looking through the episode list. And I don't know if you want to quickly, how many episodes do we have? We had 6.
6.
So I can sort of quickly,
I can let me fire it up now.
Read out the little episode synopsis, which is quite brief, and then have a chat about each. Shall I do that?
Yes, go ahead.
So series 1, which aired in 2002, according to this, Jack's life is increasingly miserable due to antisocial neighbors, and something we can all relate to. He is keen to move, but can't find a house until the man across the landing from his best friend Victor dies. Meanwhile, Jack and Victor's friend Winston is teaching his grandson how to fight for an upcoming boxing match. That was so funny.
I remember that. Just when
he's like a little tiny, he's like this little tiny wet dish rag of a guy.
Exactly. Wee ginger, wee teeny arms and stuff like that. Oh God, I remember that now when you mentioned it. Yes.
And then that was called Flitting.
It's called Flitting. It's a flitting. Basically, as a if people don't know, this a flit. If you flit, you're moving home. So it's a flitting. You're moving home. So you would have a midnight flit. It's basically if you sort of pack up and leave in the middle of the night. So maybe you're avoiding someone. You do a midnight flit, and that is still an expression. So if somebody disappears, even if it's a friend that's been in the pub every night and then suddenly disappears, they've done a flit. They might not have moved home, but they're avoiding someone. It's an expression. But flit. When somebody, that's what that means. It's flitting means he's moving home, and that's what it's all about.
Fantastic. And welcome to a couple more people in the chat. MC, thanks for joining us. Jacob Ironside, thanks so much.
Thanks.
MC said, hello there. Still Game is a fantastic, funny show, and I thank PJ maybe for introducing me to it. Hey,
excellent. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is one of those things. I've watched it. I've seen it on stage twice as well.
Yes, I remember you saying.
Yeah,
that must have been fabulous to see them actually see the actors.
The first one was a lot better. The second one was good, but the first one, because it was so new, seeing it on stage, like for instance, Meena walked on stage and everybody's going, and she's got a wee thing round her face, and it's got pictures of Robbie Williams. So she's on the stage with Robbie Williams, so the side view in front view of Robbie Williams, so she's walking with this wee thing and it's covering her whole face.
Yeah, because of course we never see Meena.
We never see Meena, and it was just the idea. Everybody said, because Navid shouts
her face anyway,
and we're all going, and she walks on with us, and see the laughter in the place.
Yep.
It was meant to be on for 10 days, the show,
Really?
in the Hydro, and I think the Hydro does 100,000 seats. Sorry,
Wow.
10,000 seats for 100,000 sharp. 10,000 seats. And it was for 10 days. So that was 100,000 people. They had to extend it. They had to extend it for another 2 weeks.
Wow.
Because it was constantly sold out.
Then that's it. That really says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That speaks volumes. People
Yeah.
would actually physically come out to it.
And at one point, half of the viewing audience for Still Game half of the viewing audience in Scotland watched Still Game.
Wow.
That's how popular it was. So
yeah.
You think about it, 50% of the Scottish viewing population were watching Still Game at its height.
Which also speaks volumes at how accurate and endearingly funny, and that
the characters, it's surprising, the characters, because Jack and Victor and Isa are not as old as they look.
Correct. Especially Isa.
Isa is quite a youthful, young, good-looking woman, and the way she becomes Isa. So the first time I saw a picture, I'm sitting there thinking, I recognise that voice. It took me a while to realise she plays Isa because she looks so different. She's still got a similar thing. She obviously puts on a different voice, but it's enough that you could recognise it. But you couldn't recognise the actress who played Isa. It was the voice. And you're sitting
we were watching A Midsummer Murders the other night, and I said to Darren, "That's Isa. That's Isa," because it was her voice. I recognized her voice, and then and I had seen photos of her, so I did know kind of what she actually looked like. But the voice was what did it.
Yep.
Because I don't think I would have twigged instantly if she wasn't, she was only on camera briefly, but it was the voice, and I was just like, it's Isa.
And that is it. It's just a case of her voice is so distinctive.
Mm-hmm.
It is unreal because she plays an older character, and when you don't see her, when you see her without the makeup, it's like chalk and cheese.
She's one of those actors that those performers that like Tracy Ullman and back in the States we had Carol Burnett, who was another genius.
Yes, Carol Burnett, yes,
of transforming herself to any age, any type of character, and selling it and making it so funny. Catherine Tate's another one. The talent there is unbelievable.
I don't like Catherine Tate, but I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
When she did Nan,
I love Nan.
See, I don't like Catherine Tate's humour, and that's why I didn't really like her as an actress either when she did Doctor Who.
I love her.
But I do appreciate when she became Nan. She became Nan.
She did. She did. And oh God,
it
crying, laughing.
French and Saunders, when they did the two old boys, they played the two old sexist fat guys. They became them.
Yeah,
and they became them very good. So when they were going up to the girls going, "Oh, darling," and all that, and you're sitting there thinking, "Yeah, pair of pairs," then you realise that's two women in those costumes playing pairs, and they played them so well. You think, "What a pair of pairs!" You realise actually,
you're like, "Oh my God, they sold it that well."
Yes, exactly. And yes, so Catherine Tate did sell the Nan part, and she plays Isa so well. It's unreal. But then again, Jack and Victor as well.
You would never. It's the same with Pauline. Can't think of her surname. Who plays? God, my brain. I need a new one. Does anybody have a good deal on a new brain?
Well, when it's not being used accordingly, it's still in the box.
This is what happens. Yeah, this is my brain. Mrs. Doyle, thank you.
Oh,
thank
yes.
you. Mrs. Doyle. Pauline, again, looks so totally different you know, because the makeup that they did for Mrs. Doyle was so brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Go on, go on, go on, go on, go on. Yeah.
Aye.
I love her.
Yeah.
And
Mrs.
hail,
Doyle
Jim.
was
Thanks
super.
for hanging out with
Popping
us while you're making dinner. Lovely.
Yeah. So, but we'll go back to the synopsis. But
Yeah.
the first episode, as you said, you saw the clip I played at the beginning.
Mhm.
That was Jack getting his new flat
Yep.
across from Victor because the neighbour died. So they nipped down to the housing office and talked himself into it.
Yeah, that was funny as well.
They'd sort of try to bribe him with a fiver and stuff like that.
Oh,
And it was just the way they did it. But even things like obviously it's set in Craiglang, a fictional area in Glasgow, but everybody knows where it is, and everybody knows somewhere it's like Craiglang.
Mhm.
And even things like the Osprey Heights, the flats, I think that was set in the Red Road flats, which are no longer there. I think they got ripped down, and it's the same idea. My aunt and uncle used to stay in sets of flats, and yeah, we had neighbours like Jack's old neighbour who would basically, he had bits of truck outside.
Yeah, like
all
the crap that he had outside of his front door.
Yeah, so he would bring up the engine of his truck or his bike to fix, and it would be out in the landing, and you would have to skirt round it and hope you didn't get oil all over the place. So yeah, we did know people like that, and that's the funny part of it. You know someone like that, and in Glasgow, that was not an unusual sight. You got up in the flat, there'd be piles of things that somebody's trying to repair sitting outside the front door.
Yeah,
and yes, noisy as well.
Darren said earlier, it's very much like the town that we live in as well, and it is. It's every town.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of every town.
Yeah,
where
even if you've
grown
not
up
got
in
flats,
the UK somewhere,
if you've not got flats in your area, then somebody's garden's full of old trucks or a broken down fridge or something that they've put aside because they might repair it, or a broken down washing machine that it's going to get fixed at one point but never does, but so it just sits in the garden.
Yep.
Yeah, we all had neighbours like that.
Yep. So moving on to the second episode, and this is interesting. This episode actually ran fourth in the original run, but it's listed as the second episode, presumably that they filmed, and it's called Family.
Yeah, fame. I think about as in fame. We're all going to live forever. Family.
Yep, Family. Yeah. Victor is awaiting a visit from his son, John, who now lives in Johannesburg. But when John leaves a message on Victor's answering machine, a crucial part of the message is inaudible due to background noise. Jack and Victor set out to discover what it says with the help of their friend Shug, who has an acute sense of hearing. Meanwhile, Winston gets injured in a fight with Peggy at the butcher's over who gets and what is that guy got? Chops? Gigot chops?
Gigot chops.
Gigot chops.
Or jigget chops.
Basically,
it's a type of chop, but it's just a jigget chop. It's just a part of the pig.
Yeah, that scene, the scenes with, I can hear somebody complaining there behind you.
Yeah, he's because I'm not paying any attention to him.
But the scenes with Peggy and the butchers with Winston, trying to beat her to the butchers, and she always gets in there ahead of him.
Yeah, and it's the fact that you see him, he's sleeping, the alarm goes off, and he pulls the cover, and he's all dressed, and he's up and out. None of that. I'll set it 10 minutes earlier so I can get dressed. It's a case of the alarm goes off, and that's him up.
Yeah, it's like serious business. Yeah, he's got to win. He's got to beat her to the butcher counter, and she always manages to mess him up. And the thing with his son, with Victor's son, is actually quite poignant at times, and I think it might come up.
It's along the lines of as you grow older and your family move away, right, if your family's nearby, they can come and visit. But if they move away, you see them once in a blue moon. And yes, before video calling and Zoom and all that, you would get the occasional call, but they've got their own life, and it's a case of
it's very much told.
You're losing touch with them.
Yeah, and it's very much told from the senior perspective. You know, even though the actors themselves are younger in real life, they're playing the roles from a senior perspective because the characters are older, and it is quite touching at times, you know, and quite poignant because you see how they start to feel quite like a spare wheel really in the family, you know, in their children's family, and they suffer for it, but they obviously suffer in silence because the children just don't twig.
And
that,
also they don't,
you know,
they don't want to make their kids feel guilty for having their own life.
Exactly. Yeah.
So but
and that's the beauty, because it's a little bit of everything. It's not just intended to be funny all the time. It's these characters actually having a life, and you just become so attached to them that you grieve when they grieve. You feel sad when they are sad.
Yeah. And did you know who is in Family?
I'm looking.
In a small one of his early parts.
Go on then.
Billy Boyd.
I'm looking Billy Boyd now.
Billy Boyd, one of the hobbits.
Oh, Pippin. Of course. His name was familiar and I couldn't place him, but of course I know him now. Yeah.
Yeah, this was Pippin. One of the ones he started in. He's obviously from he's Scottish, so a lot of the BBC, a lot like Peter Capaldi started up here in the same idea. It was all round. It was the BBC Scotland, STV Studios, anything it was filming. You see a lot of the similar characters. John Gordon Sinclair started. You saw him in a couple of things. It was all filmed round about here before they went and did other things. Billy Boyd was one of them as well. He's actually on the train station. So yes.
And that's really cool when you see these actors, you know, where they were essentially just starting out. It is really cool. I know Martin Compston is in one as well, who was in Line of Duty. So that's cool. The next one, go ahead.
Before you go on to the next one, right, I'm going to play this. Hold on, so it'll cut us out, but remember. Bench, but stop it. Come on, show. Why is it not showing? It's not wanting to play. It's not playing. Why? I think it started there, but for some reason it's showing now and then it cuts again. For some reason on my system it's actually not showing. So let's try one more time. Right. Right, come on. Why is it? There you go.
Chicken chops, please. How many would you like? How many have you got?
No. That's not how it works today. How many do you need? Got you sweating now, haven't I, fatso? How many chops has Bill got? 4, 5. How many?
6. Yes. 6 chops, please, Bill. I'll probably not manage them all, but I'll see what I can do. I'll probably have to give the last 2 to the Doug.
You lousy bastard. Square go, right now.
Here, wait a minute. Shut it, Bill. You better get a steak ready for his eye.
Wait a minute.
Careful, the flare's wet.
my ribs.
Wrap up my chops, Bill.
That was the part you were talking about.
Yep.
Wrap up my chops, Bill. Yeah, I mean, square go. Here's another one. You know what square go means, don't you?
No.
A square go is basically a fight.
Okay.
A square, as in the
square up.
the boxing ring. The square go. So basically, let's have a fight.
Oh,
Square
cool.
go.
Okay.
You come ahead. That type of thing. Yeah, I mean, it's the same idea. It's the old it's just some of the old expressions. A square go. When you square up to someone, you're going to have a square go, and that's what she says. Square go. Oh no, he said to her, "Square go."
Yeah. The scenes though where they see each other outside, you know, and they stare each other down like.
It's in the background. Every time I see that scene in my head, I hear. Yeah. Just because you can just imagine it in a western, they would actually be standing in the middle of the street.
Yeah, like a Clint Eastwood western. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know why that clipped in, clipped out, clipped in. It was really weird. And you were talking about old Shug. For those who don't know, Shug is actually not his name. His name is Hugh. But in Scotland, we call people who are called Hugh Shug. Shuggy.
Okay.
So it is one of those names. It's just, I don't know why Shug and Hugh are the same. It is the same name. It's just it's twisted. And here he's here.
Here, Victor, don't be annoying him. As old as he is, he's still bloody handy, and he is doing us a favour.
Look, let's just not be hanging about sitting there while he rattles on about the war.
Shut up, he'll hear you.
Oh, aye, can he hear through bloody what's and on now?
Aye, I can. Jack, Victor, what can I do for you? Right, on you come. That's it now. What's your fate? Take a seat.
Oh, cheers, Shug.
There you go. Yeah. Right. How can I help?
Right, well, Victor's got this machine here now. It's an answered machine. But part of the message on it's obscured because his boy, we think, said a time. And we're not
That would drive you right off your nut, wouldn't it?
That's a 3-minute clip, that one alone. Yeah. But that is Shug. Played by Paul Young, who, if you don't remember, anybody's ever seen Supergran?
I haven't seen it.
It had Molly, what was her surname? But it was Paul Young's sister. So two of them were actors and actresses, and they've been in movies since I was a child. I was watching the two of them in movies, Scottish stuff, Whiskey Galore and stuff like that. So he was an actor.
So a super familiar face.
He was a super familiar face, and he is an older actor at round about the age he's meant to be portraying in that. Wow. So although they've got young guys and girls dressed as old and acting old, they have got some older characters. Some
genuinely, characters of the same age. Yeah.
And he's hilarious in it because he used to be in the listening post. So, like, for instance, the part where he's going, hold on, that would drive you crazy. And everybody's going,
what?
So, but that's a 3-minute clip. I don't know what you're saying, but I just wanted to show because you were talking about Shug in that part. That whole thing. But
that's great.
That whole episode of Family was fun. So it was.
It was, yeah. The next one, the third one, is it says CAULD.
Do you want me to tell you what it means?
Go ahead.
Do you want me to show you what it means? Right?
Go on then.
What do you make of this weather, Eric?
And the ground's all slippery, I know. I nearly went my arse there.
Oh, it's a pair of these you're wanting. Permagrip soles, Timpsons, 1999.
Is that right?
Ah, you've got to take care of yourself at our age, you know.
Come here.
Jesus, he's all right.
What's your feet, Jack? It's slippy.
It's a pair of these you're wanting. Permagrip, 1999. What amount of Oh, that boy at Simpson's getting kicked squarely in the nuts.
Farmer Q.
It's called.
Yeah.
So basically think cold, but it's called.
Cold. Yeah.
Aye. Yeah, it's basically, as I was explaining to Roman the last time, a lot of the Glasgow expressions are effectively English words just stretched.
Yeah.
So cold or called.
The synopsis for this one is: the residents of Craiglang are experiencing one of the coldest winters in years when Winston offers a solution: free electricity by tampering with the meter. Gradually, a number of locals accept Winston's help, but Victor takes the moral high ground and refuses to participate in the illicit scheme. In the original, incorrect BBC broadcast, this episode ran second.
Yes. This one was something when we were growing up would happen. You had a meter. At the time we were growing up, it was a 50p you put in the meter and it lasted you a day. So you put the meter in the electricity, you put it in and twist, twist, twist. What people would do, somebody who worked for the Lecky board would come up and mess around with it and say, if you still put money in, however, you could not put any money in. He says, but if they come round to clear the meter and there's nothing in it and you've been using it, then they'll know something's up. So if you normally spend £30, put £20 in and you can get as much electricity as you want. They'll not notice. And when they do come up, take this wee thing out of the meter and it'll start spinning. So basically they were telling them, don't screw it over. So you could be sitting with all your heaters on and spending maybe £5 a week. That type of thing. But they said, but you could spend nothing in the week. But what they would tell you is put money in so it doesn't look as if you're screwing the meter. And that's what they're talking about. The guys going round all the meters and set them up so the meter's not spinning. And it's basically they're getting free electricity.
Yeah, which goes horribly wrong.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember whose meter ends up.
It's Winston's, is it not?
Is it Winston's?
It's spinning. It's literally just constantly spinning. I'm sure it was Winston's because Jack took Victor took the moral high ground, and it was Winston who was complaining. It was no problem. I've got it sorted, and it turned around. His meter was one that was spinning around that fast. It blew the rest because he tried to fix it himself and blew the whole high flats.
And the funny thing is watching him just trying to run this scam, and he just thinks he's like, you know, the big wise guy of the area. You know, he's
like a gangster walking around.
Yeah.
It's almost basically kiss my type thing. But it is the cold is a fun one. And the problem, the thing is, we all grew up in Scotland. When it's cold, it's cold.
Yeah.
That's why when it's like 15 degrees, everybody's going, oh, it's a bit chilly. We're all going t-shirt weather because we grew up in the cold. So anything above freezing is t-shirt weather.
Yep.
So,
and I think in this one as well, the idea that as seniors, they think just that they're like so excited that they got this pair of shoes that someone told them is going to be like solve all their problems of walking on the ice, and it doesn't make any difference at all.
1999 out of Timpson's. It's a typical salesman in Timpson's. So basically, these are non-slip, these are thermal grip, these will hold in anything. Slide. Basically, because ice means nothing to anything. You could have spikes and you would probably still slide on some guys. But yeah, it's another great episode.
Definitely. The next one, episode 4, is called Courtin'. Jack asks Barbara, the woman from the charity shop, to go out with him, leaving Victor feeling lonely and resentful of his friend's new romance. Meanwhile, Winston gets barred from the Klansmen and goes in search of other ways to spend his leisure time. This episode was broadcast third in the original run of the show, and it stars Eileen McCallum, Maureen Carr, and Noddy Davidson as additional guests.
Yeah. Well, see, the one that plays the love interest, she was from Take the High Road, which was a soap
I can
opera.
see that, yeah.
She was in that, but it's the one who played it wasn't Greta. What was her name? Rita. She don't like that.
Oh my
and she
God.
had warts in her face.
She
and her
was
teeth
terrifying.
But he was hilariously funny. Victor would walk up, and Jack would walk up with Victor and go, "How do you do? Hello." So good. And the worst part is at the end of this episode, she finds a man.
That's the beauty of it, yes. Complete irony.
Ice cream man. Get going, please. And the wee guy's behind it turns around and goes, "How you just get it?" And the two of them look, and you can just see the love in their eyes to each other.
Yeah, they were like
basically, the
perfectly
two of them are basically hideous with the teeth and the warts, and it was just hilarious. They do pop in every so often, so she pops in a couple of times throughout
She
the
does,
season,
yeah.
Whereas the love interest disappears after an episode too.
Yeah.
But she was brought in as a love interest special, so she wasn't planned to be.
She was like a guest star, yeah.
She was a guest star because she was a well-known face in the Scottish community because she starred in Take the High Road and stuff like that in soap. She was a well-known face, so yes, she was a guest. There've been a few big-name guest stars in this. So there was, but throughout the seasons, not only in this one, but they did have one or two good ones. But it's
I love when Winston gets barred from the Klansmen.
Oh, he's constantly trying
he's getting barred.
The kids, "Oh, you going and buy me a drink?" He's just trying to get everybody
just trying every which way to outsmart Boabby. Yeah,
it's not Bobby, it's
Boabby. Yeah, I know. I just love his character as well. I love all of them. I love them dearly. But the scenes though where he gets banned, and I don't know if it's this episode or if it's a later episode when he gets banned another time, where they drill a hole in the ceiling from the the empty flat above, and they start they use a fishing pole, and they start pulling the bottles of
that is the later season. That is the later season. It is, but at the moment he's just trying to get in, and he's trying to sneak in. He's trying to disguise himself and stuff like that. Just try to outwit Boabby, and it's funny.
It's great stuff. Great stuff. The next episode 5, was called Wadden.
Aye,
WADDIN.
Aye, a wedding. It's basically a wedding. A wedding.
Yeah, they've got it spelt with an A, so it looks like it says
a wedding. It's basically you're going to a wedding.
Yeah.
Aye, but it's a wedding. Yeah.
It's Navid's daughter is getting married, and both Jack and Victor still haven't received an invitation, so they decide to do something about it. Meanwhile, it is thought that Willie McIntosh has died, and Winston plans to rummage through his house to find something that will assure him an invitation. This episode ran last in the original broadcast and guest stars Johnny Irvine and Donald Cameron.
Yes, I'm just trying to remember what were they in, because I need to see their faces again.
I do remember this episode, and it was like, I forget how they end up. I forget why they haven't got an invitation but it's not because they weren't invited.
It was I think it was not in it was a problem with the postie.
And that because I know Isa gets one, doesn't she?
She did.
If I'm remembering correctly. It's been a little while since I've seen the first series.
To the two of them. Aye.
And things like this become a huge deal to them because this, their lives revolve around these types of situations being left out. So, it's like a huge insult.
Yeah. And the good thing about this as well, Navid and Meena, Muslim, but Navid's shopkeeper side comes out. So he's wearing a kilt. So he is to the wedding. And under his kilt, he's got booze because it's a Muslim wedding, no alcohol. And he's got it underneath and he's selling them drams because his shopkeeping side's coming out. So he brought alcohol so he can sell to them under the table.
Oh, how well his daughter's wedding.
How well. We have his own daughter's wedding. He's selling alcohol.
It's so funny. It was. And he says something really funny, and I can't remember the line when he takes the alcohol out from under his kilt, but it like what are you serious? I'm gonna obviously I have alcohol under here, and he's selling it or giving it to them. But we have Snorta Poopas.
Yes, hi,
welcome.
Yep. But humans and other
critters.
Guys,
yep. So we have the next episode, which is number 6, and that one and the final one of the season was called Scones.
Yep, Scones.
Scones. Jack and Victor are irritated by Tam's success at entering and winning competitions and embark on a futile attempt of their own, involving composing a slogan for a scone advert. Meanwhile, Winston is having financial problems after his benefits are stopped. And Isa's estranged husband, Harry, also returns after a 6-year absence.
Yes.
Now, this is a really good episode.
This, to me, was one of the best ones for the first season.
Yeah.
I liked them all, but the Scones was great. Just the way they were trying to actually outwit Tam. And the fact that Tam wins again. And the slogan's not even that great.
No, and you're just never going to beat Tam to free stuff. It's not going to happen.
The best one when you get into it is later on when Tam gets locked in the supermarket.
Oh, please. I hurt myself laughing at this one. I really did. And every time we're in Asda and someone wheels one of those things by, I always elbow down and go, you remember when Tam was locked in there?
You know the worst part of that, right? I used to work in Fine Fair. That's a store. It was well before Tesco and Asda and all that. Fine Fair. Fine Fair became Summerfields, and then Summerfields it got bought over by another one. So I used to stack shelves when I left school. So 40 years ago, I worked in Fine Fair, and we used to have races. One person standing inside those baskets and somebody pushing it. So when I see that reminds me of when I was a kid.
That's great.
Basically stacking shelves, having races, because we used to work overnight. We used to work the midnight shift. So we'd stack shelf overnight and a Friday night, and we would do that. But the funniest one was we used to, when I came into IT, we had a storeroom where we put all the old kit, and we had a server cabinet and on wheels. And one of the girls who was there, she was laughing and joking, and she's standing in it going, "I'm Superman." So one of the guys did just went click and locked the door. And we wheeled it around all day in it because it was glass all the way down and the locks on the outside. So basically for about 2-3 hours, she was in it and people would just walk past and just go, whee, and wheel it all around in the server cabinet. And it just always reminds me of the bit where Winston said, "Let me out, let me out."
Oh, Tam, yeah.
Yeah, Tam was doing that, and that's what she was like by the end of these 3 hours. She was getting madder and madder. And she was basically turning into Tam is basically just getting madder and madder because we just literally locked her in and just left her in. So we would have our lunch and she'd be standing in the car shouting and bawling at us, and somebody would come by and wheel her around and she would get madder and madder. And that always reminds me of those two things in my life. One when I was a kid stacking shelves racing in it, and one when we locked together.
Frank.
She got his back by thumping us all when she got out. But
I bet she did, yeah. But that's great.
But that was just the fun. We were somebody. She says, "I bet you would do that again." Yeah, we would have.
Probably.
The cabinet. You know what I mean? So that always reminds me of stuff, and that is why I think that episode is out of all the seasons is my favourite, because
us too.
I've seen that happen, and that's what I find funny. It's not out with the realms of possibility for things like that to happen. I've known people who get locked inside the store at night.
Mm-hmm.
We worked in the store, so we would be stacking away, and then across the shopping centre, we could see people moving, somebody moving around and sitting at the chair across in the clothes store because they were in getting changed.
And some numpty just shut the shop.
They basically shut the shop. And that was it. They were stuck there, and it was only they had to wait for the security guard. So they're sitting in the window waiting for somebody to walk past so they can let them know. So we would have to constantly tell them if we ever saw anybody like that. And it was funny because that's why I like the episode in the supermarket, because I've seen those things happen, and that's what's funnier. But Scones for me is just a Tam specific episode.
Yeah,
it's just so funny. Tam,
and I think
it's perfect miser.
He is, and I think the reason that the shopping center based one where he's stuck in the big superstore where they all get locked in, you need to have seen quite a few episodes with Tam to really get the level of miserly intensity that Tam has to really fully appreciate that they had to lock him in one of those things. So because he was turning into Hannibal Lecter, because he was in a situation that it would be like his ultimate best thing to happen to him would be to be allowed to run wild all night in a big superstore where he didn't have to pay for anything.
Yeah.
You know?
And I've got a wee clip that shows how bad Tam is. You want me to play it?
Excellent.
It's a longer clip, but the beginning of it is Tam specific. It's actually in the pub. Surprise, surprise. Where they normally all are. So here they're here.
Right, for lager. 2 pints of lager, mate.
That you's breaking for lunch, boys, eh? A community centre we're nearly finished, eh?
Aye, just about. Ah, cheers, mate.
I was in the building trade myself many years. Then the old arthritis kicked in. Boof! That was that. End of story. I mean, look at that.
£1.90.
£1.90? Is that what that is now, is it? Bloody hand, you know, trying to get into this pocket. You're bloody sure.
I'll get that, mate.
Well, you sure?
Aye.
Oh, thank you for that. That club you're smoking, is it? Yeah. How much? Right, come here, you.
And basically, you know what I mean? The thing that I can't get in my pocket, £1.80, is that how much it is?
Hey, Scottish Davros, Daniel, thanks for joining us.
Hey ho.
Tam is his favorite character. Yeah, I love Tam.
Yeah. No wonder. Tam is just one of those characters. The problem is with this program, even the characters you're not meant to like Stevie, they're still great characters.
Yeah.
I mean, Pete the Jakey, Methadone Mick.
Oh, love Methadone Mick.
Methadone Mick, you know, teeth. We went to a fancy dress. Me and my wife went as Laurel and Hardy. Guess what one I was? However, that was before I had the beard, and I grew a moustache deliberately so I could shave it. So I had the Oliver Hardy, and the two that won the competition. They had a competition at it. Was my wife's friend's daughter and her new husband, only been married less than a year. They went as Methadone, Mick and Isa, and the two of them looked fantastic.
Oh,
So
do you know what? If you look at the chat, PJ, it looks like we've been swatted by YouTube. Are we still?
Yes, we have been. Stream unavailable.
Oh,
Suspended.
they've nabbed us.
Yeah, but see those clips.
Those clips were under.
Those clips.
Oh, bugger.
Are ones that are actually have played on my stream. I've already had them authorized.
Yeah, that's really weird. They're so weird about it, and I wonder if it's because it's a live stream. The algorithms are different.
Yeah,
they sort of like zap first and ask questions later.
That's really so. It's killed us.
It's killed us. I'm just going to pop in the chat now and let people know.
Yeah, unfortunately, it basically says stream unavailable, stream suspended for policy violations. I'll get killed for that. So we'll just blame Daniel. He turned up and it basically kicked us. I cannot.
Is that going to mess up your?
Well, if it does, it's just one of those. It's the way the cookie crumbles.
Oops,
Let's
hold on.
It says.
Is that going to mess up your?
Let's see.
Are we still on though?
Well, it says we're back. It looks like we're back, ladies and gents, boys and girls. So I'm looking.
Oh yeah,
at
Jim said welcome
tablet.
back.
Yeah, we're back. Don't know what happened. Those clips that I've been showing are actually on my channel under my TV clips. So they've already been pre-approved. Maybe they just didn't like Tam getting a drink and a fag for nothing. Or it could be Daniel turned up and got us all kicked.
Nah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that. More likely it'd be my ugly mug. Probably the fact that I said I actually had a wee moustache, they've probably went violation. We know what that moustache means. Or
I think the live algorithm thing just zaps first and asks questions later.
It could be anything. It could be the fact that I've named a specific character and I'm not allowed to mention that drug that he's on. It could be anything that I've mentioned.
Yes, so, good old Mick. Yep. Yeah, who knows?
Mick, so it could be anything like that.
Maybe.
So
yeah.
We'll assume that's what it was, but so no more clips. Just in case. Bad boy. But I must admit, out of this first season, Scones is my favourite.
Yeah.
It's just, and even Isa's man, Harry.
Yeah. And I feel so bad for Isa, you know, and it's quite a poignant
and the thing
episode for that as well.
He comes back up later on.
Yeah.
Remember the Hogmanay special?
Yeah.
Where they introduced Navid and actually, remember they had Paroka instead of Paroka. They kept saying instead of Pakora, they kept calling it Paroka. And Navid and Meena had just moved into the area and none of the two of them spoke English. And they came up and they're teaching them, say, go away, ya dauber. Basically, they're teaching them English, but they're teaching them Scottish English. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was great. Darren mentioned one of them that I'd forgotten about too. It says, I think Tam's lowest moment was the bet over the Motability scooter. Yeah, that was so bad. He actually takes the guy's mobility scooter off him, and he's actually unable to get around. He's not even able to go out and get his groceries, nothing. And Tam literally just thinks, oh, a bet's a bet, and he just keeps it. And then eventually they have to
actually gangs up to actually get him back.
Yeah.
But that is Tam at his worst.
Yes.
Because you remember there was also the one with Tam and his girlfriend, shall we say?
Mm-hmm.
Remember he was married. And the one who played his possible girlfriend was, remember, she was a bit of a miser as well. So she would go for a bus trip to Oban, but she would sneak in where all the suitcases were, so she didn't need to pay. She was a well-known actress as well, and I'm trying to remember her name. She was a very well-known singer and actress. Played in that part, because when I first saw that, I thought, she's not playing that part, is she? She's playing this skinflint that Tam could have fallen head over heels with, but because he was with Maggie, he turned her down.
Yep.
So he went for being the good guy. So there's times that he is the bad guy. I suppose it's nuanced because not everybody's good all the time. And that showed him at his worst, but he's also been shown at his best
Yes.
as well.
And I think all the characters have. I mean, you remember the one where Winston takes off his artificial leg and chucks it after Isaac gets mugged and he knocks the guy out?
Uh-huh. And then you see after Winston wins all the money from Stevie the bookie, and he hides it in his leg, and he's dancing around, kicks his leg up, and it goes flying out the window.
I actually felt
the guys pick it up, and all the money's in it, and they pick up the money and run away with his leg.
I know. I actually felt physical pain for Winston when in that episode.
I know, when he kicks his leg up, and it goes doing, and you just see him, and you see the two guys pick it up, all the money, just pick it and run away. But yes, even the bit where with Harry, where Jack and Victor basically effectively bully Harry into going by paying him off, doing whatever they need to support Isa.
Yep.
Even though there's times where, like the Christmas episode, where they go in, if you got a bottle of Avoca, no, we've not got any. Oh God, I need it, because and Isa's sitting in the background going, that's on me. And he goes, aye, that's a something, mate. We give her the wee half bottle and she feeds us, and it's a great wee thing, mate. And she hears them, and the two of them just feel down, and then suddenly they're trying to make it up to her. And they do go a wee bit extra, but there's other times where they do things because they feel that is wrong.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing that to Isa, even if she's not our favourite person.
They're there for each other in times, you know, and they know, like, when they've gone too far with something, you know, the actual affection that they have for each other is there under the surface.
I'm saying nothing. See these sporty things. I bet he's watched football in it. I don't follow football. I don't follow sports. And I get into trouble in work because I try to get them to switch all the football off all the TVs in the office. I basically put a complaint in that football was in the office. If I don't want to watch it, why should I be forced to watch it in work? And my big issue was, one of the girls had asked, during the Christmas period, can we put Christmas movies up without sound, just so there's Christmas themes? And they were told no, because these are only for the displays, and you not to show work-related things on it. And then the World Cup started, and they would put the football matches on.
See, that's...
We complain that, how come it's okay. Why? Because you watch football and you make decisions. So that's why I put the complaint in. We were told no, and then because football, I don't like football, so why should I have to watch it in work? It should be work-related stuff on the screen or none.
Well, yeah, it was definitely double standard. There was no question there. Yeah.
Yeah. So
one or the other, you know.
Daniel.
Oh yeah.
It's basically it wasn't. I like the PlayStation. It wasn't. I like PlayStation. Do you like PlayStation? They were taking the piss out of the way, like what was that American one? Like the guy walking about in with a skateboard. I'm into things that you kids like, and it's the PlayStation, the Wi-Fi. It's thingy. So that's what they were taking the piss out of, because instead of saying I like the PlayStation, do you like the PlayStation, which is normal, but because they didn't know, it's I like PlayStation, do you like PlayStation? They just the wording was slightly off on it, and it's to make them seem old, as if they They were trying to endear themselves to the younger kid.
Yeah.
I think it was. I like PlayStation. Do you like PlayStation? The guy's like, no. So I have to say, you mean the PlayStation? It was taking the piss out of them. Yes, I am aware. Like you, Daniel, I've seen it more than once. And I understood the comments in most of them. Well, actually, all of them. The Scottish Stavros, like myself, has got a Scottish accent. Or no accent. Use a lot. I've got the Scottish. Use a lot. I've got accents. Me and Daniel.
Yeah, we're the one with the accents. Yeah.
Me and Daniel don't.
And Snowdopus, doggo spotted. Yes, I see him.
I've got one here, and I've got one here.
Matching
and I put the camera in such a way that the two dogs can be on as much as because if they don't, as when pointed out, when I'm talking about something, all you hear is because I'm not paying attention to them. So,
well, now we can enjoy them as well, which I love to see. So that's really good.
He's Curry to be up in the corner, so you can't see him. So yes, Curry to be up, enjoying it. But the first season, what did you think of the first season as a launching season?
I thought it was very good. I mean, it starts off well because it's establishing the fact that Jack and Victor are close friends, and then they get to live opposite each other, which sets up the rest of the series.
Yeah,
because they're in and out of each other's flat, and we've got the jokes like with Isa put that silly dog with the waving paw outside of her flat. Remember, and she had the speaker. I mean, they were interacting, and so it's a great plot device to have them living opposite each other.
Yes.
So
you didn't need to set everything in the pub or a cafe in the house.
Yeah, because you've got several different locations that you become extremely familiar with, and it's like a second home. One is the flats, the second is the pub. Then you have the outside of settings of Craiglang.
Yeah, the shop,
the butchers, and then walking around in the winter and slipping on the ice and things. Everybody can relate to those, Yeah. And then you have you're introduced to the various different characters. You get I think you could just get a really good introduction to each character.
And the good thing is, they don't just walk into the pub and there's all the characters, so you're introduced them all together. You get introduced to them at different points, like Isa, when they're moving in and she's looking through the letterbox watching it all happening. So you see, before that door opens, she's a wee snoop, a wee gossip, a wee nosy. And it's in Scotland, Daniel will be able to agree that nowadays, if somebody's nosy or a bit of a gossip, they're known as an Isa now.
Really?
Yeah. We used to work with a girl and everybody used to call her Isa. And it's a case of so-and-so's an Isa. You didn't need to say she is a gossip. She's an Isa. And it became from that. So it's becoming more prevalent that people are actually now referring to it. And if you're talking about someone, like say, for instance, I was talking about someone called Janet who talked a lot. You would say, oh, I was over working at Isa's and she was telling me this. And because you said Isa's, everybody knew you were talking about the wee gossip sitting in the corner.
Yeah.
And it's that thing. So you could talk about someone, male or female, didn't matter, because if they were a gossip, male or female, they were an Isa. And it was that type of thing. So you would mention, I was at Isa's and it was saying this. It wasn't a case of you were talking behind somebody's back. Everybody knew who you were talking about, except usually the person that was a gossip probably didn't think they were a gossip. But it is that type of thing. So I've noticed more and more people are now getting referred to as Isas.
Oh, that's cool.
Which I find,
and that shows how embedded the show is. It
is. It's becoming more prevalent with the way things are. It's the same as I've heard one or two people calling somebody a Tam. which I'd never heard before. And it took me a wee while to realise what they were talking about. Because it's been friends who are basically been chatting. But it was not just the one group of people. I've heard other people saying it. And it's obviously talking about a person who is a bit of a skinflint. He's a bit of a Tam. And I had no idea. The very first time I heard it, I thought, that's a weird thing. And then I realised later on what they were talking about. And then I heard it again. I thought, that's not a thing, is it? Calling somebody a Tam. We call people. I'm aware of a lot of people getting called Isis. So why not a Tam?
Yeah. Well, Tam is such a strong character. I mean, he and all the characters, you all know one of those characters. Everyone knows one or more of those characters in some form.
Yep, there you go. That's a commonplace here. They can back it up.
Yep.
Somebody getting called an Isa. But that's what I'm saying. It's these characters. Right. Still Game started as a sketch on Chewing the Fat.
Okay.
Two of the characters were on it. It was just a sketch. Then, before it was on the TV, it was a stage show. But the stage show only had 3 characters: Jack, Victor, and Winston. Just all sitting in the room watching. We were on a couch, in a house, and basically it was the 3 of them interacting, and then it grew from there.
Yeah, this is interesting. In the first episode, Flitton, Gordon McCorkle is a Scottish actor who is best known for the role of Derek D. Henderson in River City from 2002 to 2012. He has also appeared in Ford Kiernan and Greg Hemphill productions Chewing the Fat, which you just mentioned, and as Winston's grandson Joe in the pilot episode of Still Game.
There you go. Joe, he was a boxer. He did
boxer.
Yeah, that's right. But that's what I'm saying. The Chewing the Fat is just one of those things. It's a sketch show. We had naked videos, Chewing the Fat. There was other things like that. They were very popular. This was a sketch. It started from there with the Jack and Victor, the 2 characters, and then obviously Winston was brought in. It's because they were all on the Chewing the Fat, and it just went from there to a stage show because that was quite a popular sketch. So they did a stage show, and then the 2 of them decided to write it as a TV show. So they brought in other characters, and they brought in great characters. You know what I mean? Boabby the barman, Navid and Meena in the corner shop, Isa the wee gossip. You've got Tam, the miser, Winston, the gambler, the benefit dodger. Then you had Shuggy, the brains of the operation.
Yep.
Then you had things like Mary, who became Tam's wife and had the twins even at her age, and they were in the telly and stuff like that. And
God, yeah.
Tam was getting all this free stuff and trying to wheel and deal, trying to get more until somebody else had 4 kids.
Yeah, and then they completely forget them,
So the characters they created were really good. And unlike other double act writing teams, I'm thinking of Grant and Nealon, they continued. So they did. And it showed that when they decided the things were running out of steam, not the quality dropping, they were just running out of steam because they've told every story they can think of. There's no point just trying to drag it out. They decided to finish it off with a big stage extravaganza. Then they got asked to do a second one, and then there was another one, but it was more extravagant, but the story wasn't as good. And you even get the wee Neds in it. No, it's no.
I love them. No, he didn't.
They were actually in the stage show because there was a part they were actually talking there on the stage, and all you heard from the audience was, "No, it wasn't."
No, he didn't.
And then the camera, basically, the spotlight went up, and there's the 2 wee Neds down there. No, it isn't.
I love them. I absolutely love them.
So they appear in the stage show because of that. And at the intervals, Navid had his tray, was selling baked beans in a tin opener for a 50p, and selling binoculars for the people in the cheap seats and stuff like that. So they even carried it on.
They stayed in
the
character.
interval.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of selling pies and beans, they would just sell tins of beans. And a tin opener and a spoon. You'd buy it, but they were extra. So the tin of beans was 50p, and the tin opener was £2.50, so you could open it. It would be silly things for the cheap seats and stuff like that. So you was winding all the people up the back at the top. Binoculars for the cheap seats.
Daniel's put in here, Frances was her name, not Mary.
Frances, so it was.
Yeah,
thank you.
I remember now.
What one was Mary? Mary was in it. What one was Mary? Maybe Mary was the actress.
Yeah, I it's been a while since we watched it, but we will be watching it again and again because it is just such a fantastic series.
Right. Kate Donnelly who played Frances, so there isn't a Mary. So it was Kate Frances. So why I was getting Mary?
Daniel,
I know why. I know exactly why I was getting Mary. I was thinking Ramsay Nesbitt, Mary Doll.
Okay. Daniel also put in the chat, there is rumors of a Still Game prequel.
Oh God, no!
I know that gives me
the nearest they could get to a prequel would have already had a prequel. Because remember, every so often it would show the two of them as kids.
Yeah,
Jack and Victor kids growing up. So like it starts off with the two of them, the two kids, and then there's the two teenagers. Then there's the two of them. And then the two of them with different outfits on, with the sideburns, then with the tash, then with it as they grow older. So it's meant to be them growing older, but you see kids and teenagers, then it's them playing themselves younger, right up. I don't want to see a prequel. With
something this perfect, I would be terrified of something like that. And the same like with what we were saying, what were we talking about in the beginning? But like Detectress, that they were going to have the Christmas special. We're both like a mixture of excited and like, oh my God, don't ruin it.
Yeah. No. The thing is, if they did a prequel, as long as I was going to say Jack and Victor, but Greg Semple and Ford Kiernan actually wrote it, it would have a chance.
Yeah.
But if they're going to do it, they have to do it correctly. So they can actually have modern day stuff in it. The thing is, it's silly saying modern day stuff because you think about it. When I was growing up, one of the best football players in our area, the ones that all the guys that all hung out together, was Katie. She stayed above me. She was the best football player in our team. We were the only team in the place that had a girl, and the only reason we had the girl was because she was the best player. And we were actually, if we didn't turn up, they could actually just ask somebody to stand in for us. But if Katie didn't turn up, we gave up because she was the best player. But if we were doing anything like my friend's sisters were there, it'd be a case of, let's go and do that. No, we don't want to do that. Okay, we'll go. What do you want to do? And we basically, they act as if the boys had the choice of things. The boys just did what went for an easy life. We'll do that. So we would do stupid stuff, and it was because there was males and females there, and 99% of the time, the boys would do any stupid stuff that somebody suggested, whereas the girls probably suggested something that was less dangerous, and we would just go along with it. But if somebody else says things like, let's climb that tree, see how high we can get before the branches snap. Aye, okay then. Whereas the girls might say, why don't we actually go up, take a walk up to the top of the so-and-so hill? Aye, it'll be good from up there, we'll be able to see everything. That's more sensible, but so we'll go and do that, but our choices would be the stupid stuff. It would be, so they could still do that, but if they actually have it, suddenly they've got Jack and Victor growing up, and they're getting advised on this and advised on that, it wouldn't work because of the time it's meant to be as a prequel. They would need to have what the class is gender norm tropes. And I can't see the BBC doing that, can you?
No. No,
And Daniel is right. Season 9 was poor. That's why they decided to finish it, because they realised they were getting to the point where they've done it all before and they were just retreading stuff.
They were jumping the shark, basically.
Yeah.
So
they stopped before they actually, because they were asked to do another 2 seasons. They were given the funding to do it, and they said no. And that's why they decided to go and do the big stage show.
And what a wise decision. Yeah.
It definitely is, because if they went on to season 10 and 11, it was just went downhill. People remembered the last seasons.
It was like, yeah. And I mean, I know it ran for longer than Fawlty Towers, but the fact that John Cleese and Connie Booth decided to stop after so many episodes, because they felt that they had sort of done, they'd accomplished what they wanted to accomplish with the series or whatever, and making any more would risk, losing that spark that it had.
That 70s show, the first 8 seasons were fantastic. Then when Topher Grace decided to leave, they continued on, and it just went downhill.
It was so much. I didn't watch that show religiously, but I did see a few episodes of it. And I found it brilliant.
I loved it. The first 7 seasons. I didn't like Kelso's character, Ashton Kutcher, because it reminded me of programs growing up where they had adults playing kids roles. The thing is, with those ones, they had adults playing kids roles because some of the subject matter, it wasn't sex or anything like that, touched on adults. So I could understand why they didn't want kids to play those parts. So there was like about one of the kids would cause somebody else to die in a fire. So there was adult themes to it. So they had adults playing the kids, but they played it seriously. Kids. Remember the guy who played in, was it was not Booth, what was it? I can't even remember his name. Boone.
Which series are you referring to?
It's one called Boone. It was about a motorcycle courier with had him from Men Behaving Badly. Now, Ben Behaving Badly and Martin Clunes and the other guy, dark hair, he was in a TV show called Boone as well as a motorcycle courier, but the older guy, and it was it Boone he played or something like that? He's gone back, but he played one of the kids, and he played the bully in it. So they were really good. But I watched them, and I thought it's a bit weird watching it. And then you started getting things like the 70s show where they're playing teenagers, but then you had Kelso, who almost acted as if he was playing a 5-year-old because he was too stupid. Then you started getting things like Step Brothers, which I absolutely hated. Yeah, I don't like Colin Farrell. Who played Elf?
I don't know enough about
Will Farrell.
Oh, Will Farrell.
Right, I don't like Will Farrell, but the other one that played in it was Charles R. Kelly, the one that played Oliver Hardy, was in Step Brothers with him. And I hated that movie because two of them just acted like kids. However, I do like him as Oliver Hardy. So he's a good actor, but when they play children or adults pretending to be children, it doesn't work. So I've always disliked that. So that's the only thing about the 70s show I didn't like, the Kelso character, because everybody else was acting like teenagers. He was acting like a 5-year-old, and it didn't work.
Yeah. I'm just laughing at what Daniel's got in the chat.
What's that?
When Boabby says to them when they come in the pub.
Aye. Well, look who it is. Batman and what, Robin? Aye.
We'll accept that. That's what was so brilliant. It was just, you never knew what he was going to come out with, and they always had something. Yeah, there you go.
2 pints, a prick. Yeah. So, but that's what it is. Michael Affleck is
there we go.
He played a kid, a bully, and it was set just after the Second World War. So it was a period piece, and it was about kids playing, and one of them was a bit of a bully. McCarthy, and he set fire and then locked the barn to scare them. But it got out of control because he was a kid, didn't know what he was doing, playing with matches. And it was a barn full of hay. So it was adult themed. So the adults played the kids. And it worked because they played it seriously. Whereas you started getting programs like that. Whereas it's got nothing to do with still games. So I don't know where I went with that for some reason. I don't know. But it was to do with how seasons fail in the final episode of the season. And it's that.
Yeah, Darren said when he called them the two Ronnies.
Well, there was one he called them the two wise men. It's three wise men, you prick. You can't just say two of them because it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's Laura and Hardy. He did them all. But Boabby came out with some. It was the good thing is, I think it started as a joke, but then it became Boabby's shtick.
Yep.
Every time they walked in, they had to show them walking in so he could do his, oh, look, it's Abbott and Costello. And something.
And then they would have, and then it would be their reply then.
He's got that t-shirt, he's got it in white with the two, but if you got the there's also two other ones. I've got the one she's spooky with that. It's the one with eyes are coming down in the lift. Actually, I'm going to try it again. Might get kicked, but this one's only a minute
living
long.
Dangerously.
This one's a minute long.
Hold the lift. Shut up. This means that I'm getting into jeans. Oh, look at you two. Oh, done up smart. Nice jackets. Where you's gone? Well, you're not going to the Klansman, no turned out like that. Must be somewhere good, eh? Somewhere special. Eh? What would that be? What would the reason be? A wedding? No, it's not a wedding. You'd have buttonholes on for a wedding. It's no a funeral because of the tie. And it's not a court case. I'd have heard about that one. It's a day out somewhere. Somewhere that isn't Craiglang. It's a tune. It's a tune, isn't it? I know where you're going. But why? Are you celebrating something? Your birthday? No. Two old pals going into the tune. Two old pals celebrating. Celebrating. Celebrating just being old pals. That's it, isn't it? What an anniversary. That's it, isn't it?
She's creepy with that.
She gives me the fear.
Well, I've got that t-shirt. It's just basically the two of them and it says she's creepy with that. But the two of them are actually dressed as Ghostbusters. So I've got the t-shirt that says that, but you can also get one that's got Navid on it.
Oh, fantastic. Dan said Isa was like Sherlock. She was like Sherlock Holmes, like deducing everything, you know.
But do you know the thing is, see that scene for her getting into the elevator to her coming out of the elevator, 1 minute long. 1 minute. And she does not break, and she narrows and she breaks it down bit by bit. So there's no pause where it's almost like a holding in a smile.
Oh, we're gone again.
Jung, 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 jung.
We're gone again.
You're kidding. I cannot believe that it's my videos that are up on my channel. Numpties. Yeah, we are a pair of numpties, but what we'll do is we'll finish off shortly anyway. But oh my god, I can't believe we got hit twice. And it has to be the videos, but I cannot believe it. It just goes to show my fault. I told we got hit the last time, and it was when Alec did the cut. He put in the panda video, and the cut is halfway through the panda video. But I'd showed a couple of my videos. It was already up my channel and didn't have violations. But for some reasons, they got violations this time.
Oh no.
I know. And I don't know how long they stopped you for. So I think it was what? Less than 5 minutes the last time.
It wasn't for very long because we were
Yeah.
back on pretty quickly after.
Yeah, it was. Let Daniel get hit again. Ha ha ha. We apologise for the interruption to our regular programmes in the meantime. Here's some music. And now we're back. We have a further guest. He suspended us. Now he's brought us back. Hello, Alex.
Hey, Alex. How's it going?
At least a panda wasn't to blame this time.
You brought
Yes,
us
I did
back from the
mention
brink.
it. I did mention the panda got us the last time. Obviously, it was Meek got us this time. But there you go.
I was listening in anyway.
Eh?
I was just listening to you go on about the show, really. It wasn't like interacting with the chat. And then next thing you know, boom, gone. I went, well, that's Isa for you.
Yeah. So I was actually listening to it.
I blame Winston.
Yeah.
Daniel's got I blame Winston.
You know who it was? It was Boabby's fault.
Yeah.
Definitely. We are a bunch of criminals tonight. That's twice I've been hit. I'm going to get taken out the back and beaten up.
Oh, no.
And we have got more coming in to actually
Hey,
say,
Jim.
Jim,
I mean, what are you doing with the stream this evening?
I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe not being in on Saturday, so I'm trying to get it cancelled. Anyway, Saturday, seems the three of you are here and Colin's not, unfortunately. Keep an eye out for Saturday. Just a warning. Because
Keep a
a
look
pick of
out.
the week may be turning up to each of your households.
Ah,
Mm.
Mr. Postman plays ball.
It's a wee, well, it's not coming by post. It's coming, it's been parcel, it's been delivered. And I know it works because it got delivered to someone else. I got yours delivered on the same day, a Saturday. Just let us put it this way. It's a very Scottish still game. Hello.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Excellent. Oh, cool.
So-
Thank you, PJ.
Yeah,
Thank you so
it's-
much.
It just when I saw it, I thought, yep, I know I'm getting the guys. Unfortunately, Roman and that can't get it because posting it abroad would be
Yes. I think I know. Yep. I'm
Yeah.
saying nothing.
Right. So as soon as I saw it, I thought, if I'm going to get slagged, yous are getting it.
I've been getting it all
Fantastic.
year.
Yeah.
I think I'm happy for 2022.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Still game. We should actually do more still game, just season by season.
That sounds good to me.
Definitely something we should get people into. And you realise Still Games actually had a reprisal recently.
I
Because
didn't know that.
You mean like a revival?
no, a reprisal, not a revival
Ooh,
as such.
ooh.
Certain Korean show.
A certain Korean show became popular, so people were doing a search for it on YouTube.
Oh,
They were looking for Squid Game.
oh
and
yes.
Squid Game would come up, and other S games would come up as maybe you'll like this. So people were watching it thinking it was similar, realizing it wasn't, and getting hooked on it. And it is now being reprised, as in all the old
Come
stuff
on,
is being used.
anything living in Scotland must be Squid Game.
No. We're the do you not remember? We're the actual pinnacle of human evolution. We just let you
Yes,
think.
you are, but you're also the toughest bastards around.
Yes, I'll agree with
As
that.
you can see in one episode of Still Game, where it's the Hard Bastards bar.
Yes.
The motorbikers at the end. You know what I mean?
Is that the one where like they're about to go in and then like a body comes flying out the front door and they're like, maybe not.
No, it's the one that they're trying to get the film crew to come in and they're pretending they're the hardest pub in Glasgow. And then at the end, they're all celebrating it. The camera crew bought it, and it's the hardest pub. And then outside, you hear see the motorbikes all pulling up, and guys coming off their bikes with chains and baseball bats and stuff like that as they're all celebrating in the pub. And you know what's going to happen. Oh, really? You're the hardest bar in Glasgow. So that episode was hilariously funny. Just them trying to be tough, going up to guys, going, "You get it here. You're going to get it in the neck." No. All right then. And fine, I'll give you 20 quid and a couple of pints if you actually just pretend to be scared of me. Make it 40. But yeah.
I mean, I think that's where I got most of my kind of sense of, I wouldn't say it's humor. It's not male on male banter either. It is just the intercultural toughness.
Yeah.
So if an Irish is taking the mickey out of you, you do the same back, and you have earned 100% mutual respect with just a couple of words. It is that simple. I'm just using the Irish because they're most obvious on that, but the Scottish are the same, Scandinavians are the same, even though the Scandinavians are far more reserved. But if they do throw down the gauntlet, so to speak, you should pick it up immediately.
Yeah. I quite agree with that. Basically, my dad told me 2 stories which I found hilarious, and it basically says Scottish. Yep. Is when he was he didn't join the army. It was during conscription. It was basically after the war. There was still conscription. So my dad joined the Royal Corps of Transport, and he says they got shipped down to England. So all the guys from Scotland were in the barracks, just getting all set up. He says, this big guy, 6'6", built like a brick shit house, walked in with all his gear, throwing things in the bed, going, clean that, polish that, tidy that, brush that, clean that. He says behind him, all the stuff was coming out from the beds and lying in the middle of the flare. And he got to the end, turned round, and there's all his stuff along the floor. And somebody shouted from the back of the barracks, "Piss off, you big booth." And the guy goes, "Oh, the Scottish barracks," picked it all up and went next door. Right? So basically it was a Scottish barracks. He didn't actually need to know anything else. He was the cream of the crop, but he walked into the Scottish barracks and tried to bully them, and they basically told him where to go to. So he just picked it up, went to the next barracks and started bullying them because they were in the Scots, so they were easier. And there was another time in this when my dad was on leave, and one of his friends came up with him. So his friend, my dad, and my granda were in the pub. And this big Englishman, 6'2", he's taller than my dad, very broad, and he's going, "Come on, Jock, we need to get out of here." My dad's going, "Why? There's going to be a couple of fights. We need to get out of here." And as soon as he said that, my dad and my granda went, "Where?" And he says, "Over there, and over there." He says, "They're all friends. That's how they talk to each other." It'd be like 2 guys standing there going, "Listen, you prick, what do you want to drink?" "I get me a pint." Or 2 of them going, "See you can't play football." He said, 2 pints of lager, please. "And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to kill you," and that type of thing. So basically, the English guys.
Now that's a perfect description
that's
of
just
how
the way they were talking to each other, because it's a very aggressive language, and when we talk to each other, like people come to my used to come to my family's do's, parties, whatever, and they says it was the most aggressive and most friendly thing they'd ever seen to, because 2 of my uncles could be literally standing face to face arguing with each other. My mum would walk in and say, "Anybody want a pie?" The 2 of them would stop and say, "Aye, can we have one? We'll get it in 5 minutes." And they go to each other's face. And basically one of my friends says it's the first time he's ever actually been to a party. It's that aggressive that not one person threw a punch. He says, "Of course not. We're family. We shout at each other. We argue with each other. But
we are from that era where people misunderstand what sounds like aggressive behavior, what looks like hostile behavior. I remember this was back in 2000-ish somewhere. And we've just landed in Stockholm to meet up with a friend of ours. We've taken the cab to where they were. And as soon as I stepped out of the cab, I ran into a school friend I hadn't seen for almost 20 years. But my ex understood nothing of the language. And the way he behaved, the closeness that he was standing to me and the way he was speaking in the mannerisms that she could understand because she couldn't understand the words. She was balling up her fist and was like, I'm ready for a fight. I'm going in swinging if there's something happening. It's like, we were just catching up on good old times when we burned down like the chem lab in school, the mischief we had, the times we were smoking out back in the canteen. That's what we did. But it did look hostile. And looking back at it, I do recognize it must have looked hostile to any stranger.
I still do that. Scenario. If I bump into a friend I've not seen for 20 years, it's not a case of, oh, how are you doing? It'd be going, hey, you old prick, how have you been up to? And people go,
what you have been up to, you fat bastard?
Exactly, but that's the type of thing you do. And that's what Daniel said as well. He's Scottish. If somebody insults you, it means you like you. And even Snarterpoofus, basically, if one of his friends said something nice to him, he'd die of shock. It's that type of thing. It's not necessarily like the Scottish is that it sounds more aggressive, but in general, friends talk shite to each other and they shout attack. When even you and your friends, how many times have you and your female friends said things that other people would go, but you're close friends, you know each other, you would say things that you would say.
Sadly, I only have one female friend that I've known for 30 plus years. But we're not complimenting each other anymore. She was hot as hell back in the 90s. Not gonna lie. It was nothing ever between us. She was just a nice, decent human being. We became friends. Don't know how, but we became friends. And these days, we're hurling more insults than compliments toward each other.
That's the thing. Friends do that because you wouldn't actually speak to someone you hardly... Well, give you an example. Everybody sees it. How many times has Roman slagged me? How many times do I slag Roman? We're friendly enough, we can do that. But you imagine if we did that from the very first time we met each other on stream. It wouldn't have gone very well with the type of things. But because we've streamed, we can say things to each other. It's the same as we slag Jim. How many times do you bloody slag me? Does it bother? Because we've got to know each other. We know there's that friendship there that if somebody slags me, I don't go, I'm very hurt. I just sort of smile and go,
I'm going to go and complain to Elon Musk.
I'm going to go and complain to the manager. But it's that type of thing. There's things you would say to friends that you wouldn't say to strangers, but with strangers hearing it, because they know you wouldn't say it to them, they think, why did you just say that to that guy? Because he's a friend. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things you speak differently. And in Scotland, we do sound more aggressive. Not denying that. So it sounds more aggressive. I was in the Lake District, me and a friend, we were down Holland, and we were in playing pool. I was getting arse kicked. She was basically a hell of a lot better than I was. And as we were playing, somebody in the corner shouted, "That's one for East Kilbride." And I thought, how the hell did you know I came for East Kilbride? So it's years ago. And he goes, I don't. I just stay down the road at West Kilbride, and that's just something. Anything goes wrong, we always say it's from somebody for East Kilbride. So we started chatting. Two Scottish groups chatting. So we were up playing. They came up to play pool, and we were playing, and they were slagging me because I was rubbish, and I was making jokes at their expense because they would maybe miss the ball and it miss the pocket or go into the wrong pocket. We would slag each other backwards and forwards as we were playing the game, having a laugh. But unbeknownst to us, the bar was emptying. we didn't think anything of it because we're having a good time, a slag and a bit of banter, playing a game, until the manageress came in and she's looking around and she says, "Is there a problem in here?" We looked round and says, "No." "Why?" She says, "A lot of the customers are complaining, think there's going to be a fight." I says, "No, we're both Scottish. We're just having a laugh and a joke with each other." She says, "Oh, could you calm it down? They think you're arguing." And we're sitting there going, "Really? All we were doing is having a laugh, a joke." They were slagging me because I couldn't play snooker in a pool table. It was basically, it didn't matter if it was a big table or a wee table. I was rubbish at it. I couldn't calculate an angle to save myself. I couldn't calculate an angle if it was straight. But I was that bad at pool or snooker. And they were slagging me for that. My friend, she was slagging me. She always slagged me because she knew I was crap at the game. But people heard us talking to each other and assumed we were going to be fighting. And I just find that weird.
No, that's the complicated nature of it. They weren't slagging you because you were so bad. They were edging you on. Come on, guy, do better. Try harder. Make an effort. That's what they were doing. It may have sounded harsh to a stranger,
but that's the thing. It's not so much that we were slagging each other. It's obviously because both of us were Scottish. We had a Scottish accent in England. People heard it and assumed it was more aggressive because we are aware that if we go into our natural tongue, when I'm working, I don't think about it when I'm working in Scotland. But if I'm going down to England, I try to watch how I say certain things because one of the colleagues was up and one of the other guys kept translating for me because I didn't think about it. It's silly things. Like we were talking about breakfast and I says, "Oh, I hope the breakfast has got totty scones because a lot of these travel lodges don't." And he's looking at me and one of my friends says, "Potato scones." To me, it's a totty scone. I didn't need to think he's not going to understand what I'm saying because we're in Scotland. But he works down in England and he's Italian, but he works down in England. But he didn't understand the Scottish dialect. He doesn't understand the Scottish colloquialisms. I never think about it when I'm in Scotland. But it's the same as on here. I am aware that it's a wider audience, so I try and calm down my Scottish accent. But when I'm with other people who are Scottish, my accent gets broader because we slag each other. It's the same as when I've gone with Daniel. My accent's a bit stronger because I know Daniel's Scottish, so I don't think about holding back a wee bit. It's that type of thing. And Daniel, I know you're from East Kilbride. I was stayed in East Kilbride for about 7 years as well. I was doing the Westwood, but because I know if I'm speaking to someone who's Scottish, I don't think about holding back what I'm saying because I know I don't need to think about it. It's the same as I say about Still Game. Their Scottish accent is not dumbed down, but it's cleared up a bit to be a wider audience. It's the same as if you're looking at somebody from Liverpool, a Brummie or a Liverpudlian or someone from Wales and stuff like that. They may have a very strong accent, but to portray that on screen, they would water down the accents a bit. So the accent is there so they know they're from Wales, from Liverpool, from wherever, but they calm it down so you can still understand. Doesn't matter where you are.
I think Guy Ritchie did that best in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch and those kind of films.
Well, you look at
he introduced the accent.
You look at Boys from the Black Stuff. Gives a job. I could do that. Gives a job. Yossa Hughes. But you know fine well where he was meant to be from, but his accent wasn't as strong as it probably would have been from that location. And that's the thing is, so I'm aware that the Still Game accent is calmed down. It's the same as the posh English accent. It's calmed down so people can understand it. Doesn't matter if they're from Scotland or Wales or England or wherever. the strong accents are fine in the location, but when you're out of that location, your accent has to be strong for us, especially on a TV show, so people know where you're from, but not strong enough that they can't understand you.
I'll have to blame it a little bit on Hollywood.
To an extent,
here,
Hollywood.
because if you look at the villains that are the non-Arabic,
they're always the Englishmen
stuff. They're British. They're not Scottish. They're not Irish. They're not Welsh. They're all British. There is literally London, Eton University, kind of British. That's your villain.
Exactly, that's the thing.
That's the dialects, because this tiny little island has so many different accents, dialects, groups, whatever you want to call it. I mean, if you go from Edinburgh to Glasgow, that's 45 minutes tops on the train. And you have two extremely different Scottish accents. Although I will say it's unfair to compare Glasgow to the rest of Scotland, because the rest of Scotland actually can speak. The Glaswegians, I'm not sure what they're doing.
The Glaswegians are basically shotgunning it. Basically, we throw a lot of words out there. You pick up one or two and make your own sentence out of it. And that's
probably the best description that I've ever heard of it.
But it's one of those things, and that's not what Poofy says, is if you have to use subtitles for the audience to understand, the accent's too heavy. You look at the difference between Rabsy Nesbitt and Still Game. Both of them are based in in Glasgow. But when they first showed Rabsy Nesbitt to the English audience, they used subtitles because the accent was a lot stronger, because it was designed to be shown in Scotland. They didn't think it would be picked up for England. It was designed to be shown. When they were making movies or TV shows in Scotland, they were usually for the Scottish audience. They weren't thinking the British audience. It was the Scottish audience. It's the same as when they were making a lot of stuff in England. They were thinking about the English audience. So they weren't, like, you look at Only Fools and Horses. If they made that 10 or 15 years earlier, using the same accent, if they came up to Scotland, they would probably put subtitles, because who would have known what apples and pears and all right, governor and all this? It would have been a case of you have been sitting there going, his accent's a bit stronger, because they would have been making it for that audience. They wouldn't have been thinking about people out with their catchment area. But because you can always tell the ones that were expected to be British-wide Doctor Who, because the accents were BBC English, so everybody understood it. It was that type of thing. So the difference between Rabsy Nesbitt and Still Game, one needed subtitles at the time. Now they've calmed it down, so the accent is there, but not overly strong. And it works. It works because you know where they're coming from. Mm-hmm. The Scottish is still enough there. And like, for instance, Navid, get here your dauber. Do you know what he's saying? You might not know exactly what the word means, but based on the way he says them, even
you get the context,
you get the context through his Scottish accent with an Indian accent on top of it. And that works well, because you look at Meena, she's speaking, and they always put it as a Scottish text on it for her subtitles, because she's not speaking English, she's speaking Scottish. She's just so happenly speaking Scottish
dialect,
from a with her natural language, and that's the thing. Her first language, she's speaking. So she's taking that dialect in. So you know what she's meaning when you're doing that, because when you're talking to someone, they're translating so you understand it. So they're translating so we would understand it. And that's the thing. So I would definitely recommend more and more people watch Still Game. And in the new year, what we may do, is actually do season 1, we've done season 1, so season 2, season 3, season 4, and go that way.
That would be amazing.
That would give us a couple of months just doing Still Game. Give everybody time to actually catch up on it.
Yeah, exactly. And
I'm sorry, what do you mean time? I don't understand this concept because I have none of it.
Do what I do. Just actually pretend you've got time and actually just throw it in instead of actual proper stuff. Like, for instance, spending time with my wife. I can say that because she's actually down in London this weekend, so I've got the house to myself.
So you're out of slapping distance.
Yeah, me and the boys. She'll be watching it and she'll slap me when she comes back on Sunday. But she might forget by then.
Oh, so that's why we're gonna have thunder on Tuesday morning.
Yeah, it's been a fun week because I flew down to London, 7 o'clock plane. So I was up from 4 o'clock in the morning. Got to my bed at 11 o'clock. I was back up at 6. Then I got the flight back up late last night. Got to my bed at 12 o'clock. Back up at 6:30 this morning. And I've been working. Then I was out because a girl was retiring. So there was a meal. Then I was back here just to be on the stream. And as soon as this stream finishes, I'm going straight to my bed. I'm knackered. I've been up for 3 days near enough. And I'm shattered with the 2 flights and the running around. I've actually not stopped. Terrible. I'm getting old. I used to be able to do that in my youth.
No. You lost a perfect opportunity to go Danny Glover. I'm getting too old for this shit.
Yeah, classic. Under the critical response section of the wiki page for Still Game, there's a great description of the show, which again sort of reiterates some of the stuff we were saying before, and it's referring to the 5th series finale. Scottish tabloid newspaper The Daily Record heralded for Still Game to be added to the ranks of the greatest sitcoms ever, which I highly agree with. They called the episode classic comedy and said it was a perfect mix of empathetic friendship, laugh-out-loud gags, real feeling in the acting, and genuine warmth and chemistry between the characters. And that, for me, is why this works so well.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And then a bit further down, it says, Still Game attracted the interest from known screen legends such as Sean Connery, who even requested a role in the show, allegedly. And actor Bill Nighy is also reported to be a fan, calling upon the distinct Glaswegian accent for his role as Davy Jones in Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't know much about that one, but
yeah, I don't know
I love
about
pirates,
that. But you look at even IMDb.
That might actually have been Bill Nighy from also the thing I watched earlier today. And I know if Colin is ever watching in on the show, it was mentioned on the Lotus Eaters that the film Love Actually is a really good film. And they had it with the hashtag Change My Mind.
But, do you know the thing is, one of the girls in my work, we were talking about the Princess Bride, and I says chick flick. She says, have you seen it? I says, actually yes. One of the girls on the stream had convinced me, and I kept saying chick flick. She said, what do you think? I says, it is one of the best movies I'd seen in a long time, and I loved it. She says, if you like that, you'll like Love Actually.
The thing is, Princess Bride is
not as bad as what people expect because of the title.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other one? True Romance? Is it True Romance? That is a violent one, but it is no love story you would expect it to be. I'm sure it was True Romance. Is another one I was surprised at based on the titles. So Princess Bride, Love Actually, which is more romantic, and then I think it was True Romance was another one, which the three titles actually got me surprised because 2 of them I would never have expected based on the titles how good they were. Love Actually is not as bad as I expected it to be. It was actually quite enjoyable. So there you go. Yeah. I would recommend those 3. And I got one other recommendation from the taxi driver down in London. We were talking about the detectives and stuff like that, and we were talking about westerns and stuff like that. And he says there's a couple of westerns I would recommend, TV shows quite new. And he says, Don't Tell Me Tombstone. He says, well, that was one. He says, but the one I was going to recommend is called The English. Accordingly, it's a Netflix, 8 episodes, and it's one of the best modern westerns he's seen. I need to go and have a look for that one, The English. It sounds very Amish, doesn't it? The English. But accordingly, it's meant to be a good one. And see, us Scots people do love this Princess Bride.
Yeah,
So
it's hilarious. It's a fantastic movie, and it's
when
so funny.
When I told you at the time when you'd mentioned it, I said, I don't want to watch a chick flick. And you go, no, I watched it 3 times that day. It was so good. And I was sitting there thinking, how the hell had I not seen
How
this
did
before?
this slip the radar? Yeah.
And it was because of the title.
Yeah, absolutely.
It did not register with me as my
Absolutely.
type of
The
movie.
title of Princess Bride is what will keep most people out of it.
Yeah.
And I actually don't mind, because it tells you more about the people that watched it, saw it, and actually absorbed what the storyline was about.
Yeah.
Because you overcame your own bias. You started watching something, and then you went, oh, wow, this is really interesting. It is got complex stories, but it's very matinee style. It's literally meant for young adult teenagers, because even though there are sword fights, the revenge plots, killings, the whole thing, it's more Disney than Disney, if I put it that way. Because I can't describe it any other way. It's a fantastic, really fun story. And if there is anyone watching this, or the lot of you guys, but I think all of you have probably watched it at least a dozen times by now, it is definitely a story worth watching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely is. Right, see the other one I was talking about, True Romance. The girl who recommended it to me says it's a surprising one, based on the title alone. It has got Christian Slater, Patricia Arquette, Dennis Hopper, Val Kilmer, Gary Oldman, Brad Pitt, Christopher Walken, Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's got Saul Rubnick as well, James Gandolfini.
Oh, James Gandolfini, yeah.
Gandolfini. He's in it as well. They've also got Conchita Fennell, remember, who played in 2.5 Men, she played the housekeeper. Right, and then you've also got Michael Rappaport as well. And Bronson Pinchot.
Bronson Pinchot.
They're all in that.
I wouldn't realize it was that star-studded.
Yeah,
it's kind of like my surprise of Gettysburg with so many like huge names.
Do you know what the tagline for it is?
I'm saying it as in Donald Trump's huge, but so many big names in there that's just like, wow.
The basics
I know I liked True Romance when I saw it, but I haven't watched it in years. Probably 20 years now. So I probably have to have a look back, because I don't remember the names you mentioned.
But I remember Brad Pitt. He plays the stoner roommate. He's only got a wee bit part, and he plays it so well as a stoner. It's like Brad Pitt playing in Snatch, where he plays the pikey. He gets right into it, and in that,
it's like you like my da.
Aye, but
you
it's
like
the
my
same
da?
idea. I want to put it like a blue, and it's the same. Like the tag for this one is: in Detroit, a lonely pop culture geek marries a call girl steals cocaine from her pimp and tries to sell it in Hollywood. Meanwhile, the owner of the cocaine, the mob, track him down in an attempt to reclaim it. And it is literally, considering the title of it, True Romance, and then when you hear the names of the people in it, it is one hell of a movie. I'd never seen it until
I'm gonna go on a squirrel mode here, because you have a True Romance or True Romance. True Lies is far more of a chick flick than True Romance ever will be.
Yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger, and mind you, you've got Jamie Lee Curtis as Jamie Lee Curtis in the film.
Oh, come on. Jamie Lee Curtis. Come on.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anyone that did not have a heartbeat racing up when she was trying to play.
That was the funniest part of that movie. That was the funniest part of that movie, when she's been all sexy and seductress, and she did that and missed the pole and went boom, and then came straight back up. That is the funniest part. It's because it was a sensual part. She's dancing, being sexy, misses the pole, lands on the ground, gets straight back up, and continues as if she didn't do anything wrong. To me, that's what made True Lies so funny, that they did something silly like that and actually acted as if nothing happened, and it just seemed so right and so not normal. So it did.
But even in the subtle sequence of that, where Arnold Schwarzenegger is recording the audio,
he's got it, and he
drops his own wife doing the stuff, and he's actually dropping the recorder.
Yeah, True Lies is a good fun movie. It is not, under any circumstances, top of the line action movie. It is a fun action movie. You've got Faith from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You've got Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis. You've got what was the guy who played the terrorist?
The terrorist bad guy has played some serious big roles as well on us, not as a terrorist.
He's played. He was in East of India. He's been in a lot of good movies, but in this, he played a great bad guy in it. But he didn't play an overly evil, because it was an overly evil, silly one. Because he's giving a big speech, and the guy's actually sweating because the battery's running down.
The battery is running out, boss. I'm sorry.
But it's things like that. It takes the serious and then it puts a wee twist on it. I just thought was funny, and I think True Lies.
Tom Arnold is in that as well, way before he went woke-ish.
That's where my favorite. That's where my favorite saying comes from. Women can't live with them, can't kill them.
That's a very adaptable saying.
I know we're supposed to talk about still game, but I have to bring this one up around when we're talking about this. Tom Arnold in this is a very fat guy, and there is a shooting scene, and he's hiding behind a lamppost.
Good night, Jacob.
He's very fat, but every bullet hits the lamppost, and not him hiding
it's behind the fact is he basically goes stomach, balls, ass, just to make sure everything's actually in place. But what we'll do, guys, is it's just turned 20 past. I want to actually, as I say, I want to go into my kit, so I'm going to actually finish up there. So still game, what would you say? What would your words of encouragement for people? Or
words of encouragement, it is localized, because they do play heavy on the accents and everything, but it has so many true to life, but still funny takes on life moments. That is what I like about it. It is funny. I mean, the teenagers trying to smack them up when he's unloading the truck and getting the stuff into the shop.
No.
Yeah, and they're literally the harshest Scottish accents, whatever it is, mocking the older guy and not the delivery guy. The older guy, there's the supervisor, whatever he is. I keep forgetting. It's just going, oh, just you wait until he come back out because he's a boxer. He'll punch you in the face. And the tiniest kid in this group that are antagonizing him just walks up and just sucker punches him in the kidneys or the liver or whatever it is. So he can't move.
Yeah. Winston's nephew.
Yeah.
Yeah, the boxer. Wen, what would you say? What would you tell people to encourage or discourage? I'm not putting past things that people might actually decide, no, I've decided I don't like it now.
I mean, there's nothing about this show that I dislike. I just love it. If you like, from an American point of view, if you love British sitcoms and you enjoy, British comedy, do not miss this one. It is unique, as Jim said, to Scotland, but at the same time, it is just like I think everywhere has their own, because like Wales has a certain vibe and a certain colloquial humor, just like Gavin and Stacey and things like that. So it's that type of a show. It will endear Scottish people to you, but at the same time, it is the kind of a show that you just fall in love with. You love the characters; they become like family, and I just can't say enough about it. It makes me cry with laughter every time I see it, and it doesn't matter how many times I've seen the episode. So it goes in that category with like Faulty Towers and many others, where I don't care how often I've seen it, I still cry laughing.
Yeah. Alec?
Well, the thing is, all I can say is that everyone should give this a watch. I haven't watched many episodes myself, but now I'm going to start watching each series. And all I can say is up there with my other favourite Rabsy Nesbitt. That's all I can say.
Good. Yeah. Well, see, the thing is with Still Game, I know it's advertised as a comedy, and yes, it is funny, but I see it as just Scottish humour. So I don't see it as a comedy the same way other people do. And I'm sure Darren will be able to confirm that. We see it as good, all-round banter. The programme is really good, well done that way. And as we see it as an everyday occurrence, we appreciate it. And we appreciate it when it's done well. And Still Game has done it so well. Characters come to life. They're caricatures of the type of characters, but the problem is everybody knows someone who's a bigger caricature of that type of person. We all know someone who's an uber gossip and nosy.
Yeah.
They might not be the same person, but Iser's got them both down pat. We know someone who is a skinflint to the point where they hide it better than Tam. So like Tam with the drink and the fag, he wouldn't go like that at the end, because he would just go like that, and to try and hide the fact, he would pick it up until he's out the way of the guys, because they might actually be able to buy him something else later on. So he would take it over there, and once they can't see, he would sit back, no problem. Then if he was back up at the bar and the two guys were there, he would do the same again on the hope of maybe getting another freebie. So we all know these type of guys. That Tam's a wee bit over the top because you can see it's an obvious skinflint, whereas other ones are bigger skinflints because of the way they do it. It's hilariously funny, and I would definitely recommend having a go. YouTube has got plenty of them, and as the great Jarvis Esquire once says, if life hands you melons, make melonade.
Yep.
Watch Still Game. Still Game is melonade at its best.
It definitely is.
It is.
Definitely.
The songs in it are fantastic. This is the story of Mrs. Begg, who always hunted Winston's gummy leg. But now she she rocks for him round the clock because she's all fond of old Bert's cock. The Mrs. Big episode is hilariously funny. Where they think old Bert's going to commit suicide. Mrs. Big is constantly trying to catch Winston out because he's on disability, and she thinks he's conning, and then he gets caught and stuff like that.
Daniel says, "Watch it. It's as iconic as Iron Brew, and it will help you understand me and PJ." Absolutely.
Yes, it definitely will. Well said.
Well said, sir.
Where's my Iron Brew? It's in my bag.
I know. I haven't seen any Iron Brew tonight.
It's in my bag through there. That's why I've not brought it through, because today, as I said, I've been doing so much.
Mm-hmm.
I've even got a bottle down me. The 2 bottles I've got are sitting on the table.
Wow.
Absolutely. That's
You're
just
in
so much I
withdrawal.
enjoyed talking about still game. I've not even thought about my Iron Brew. But Saturday I'll have special Iron Brew sitting right here. So I'll have ordinary Iron Brew, but it'll be special to me because it'll be mine.
Yeah, I might have to pick up some Iron Brew now on Saturday morning. Have the celebratory Iron Brew on Saturday evening.
I will start encouraging people to get more Iron Brew and Scottish stuff. Honest Gov.
Definitely well worth it.
Yeah.
Right, guys,
so we're going to finish up. But Wayne, Jim, thank you for joining us. Wayne, thank you for guiding me through the 6 episodes. And as always, we'll need to actually do more of these because I like that format when we were talking about everyone individually, talking about each. It is definitely the way to go forward when we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there anything any of you guys are doing this week before Saturday?
Not particularly. We just finished a show yesterday, and nothing's planned at the moment.
Yeah, I did see that. It was basically about Show Hunter.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I'll see you all on Saturday. And ladies and gents, boys and girls, thank you for joining us for a fantastic still game stream. And remember, I ain't old, I'm classic. PJ maybe and the gang